Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. This video goes out to Morten, who had an issue with a friend only seeing the Polish audio track of a movie that also had the English audio track. And Craig, in the thread over at Plexaholics, actually gave him the right advice to fix this, but the conversation didn't go too far. Morten thought he was asking him to remove an audio track and that not being a solution, and of course he's right, but he didn't realize what a tool MKVtoolnix is. So I only talk about Plex tools that you can use under Linux, Mac, or Windows. I won't discuss anything that's proprietary. First of all, I don't use Windows, so it's hard for me to talk about those tools, but I don't think it's fair that we discuss a solution that isn't equally available to anyone, no matter what their operating system is that they're running. So MKVtoolnix can be downloaded for Windows or for Mac, and it's in the App Store, the Package Center for most Linux distributions like I'm using. I'm using Pop! OS, a derivative of Ubuntu. So I've got two example movies here. I've renamed the folders and file names with FileBot. I use the source ID, and I also put in some extra info about the media itself. Regardless of that, let's open this up with MKVtoolnix. So you'll see we have two audio tracks, an Italian track and an English track. The Italian track is set as a default track, which means the English track is not. That should not cause Plex an issue. But I might want to switch this around, so I change that to yes and this to no. And I would also look to see if it just says this, Italian with IT in parentheses or English with EN in parentheses. So Morten, you'd be looking for the same with Polish and English. Well, maybe one of these isn't set at all. Maybe they're both set to English by mistake. Or maybe they're set not in a standard way. So on both tracks, click one, click the language section, and then under here where it says language, just hit the drop down to make sure you're using the best version. And do it for the English one too, because some other program may have encoded these and flagged them in a non-standard way. All right, so we see this is no longer the default track. This is. While I'm here, I'll get rid of these PGS subtitles. It looks like there's a German one and an English, and I'll leave the remaining English SRT subtitle because SRT subtitles are compatible across all Plex client apps. PGS subtitles may not be, and it may cause the movie to transcode once the subtitle is turned on. I will remove these as a matter of course and go find external subtitles that sync to use instead versus having the PGS subtitles embedded in the folder. So when we opened this movie up in MKVtoolnix, it was simply more of an unzipping process. So if I want to save the changes, I click Start Multiplexing, and that basically is a zipping of the changes into a new movie. So it doesn't really take that long. We're at 5%. And if we look, it's a 9 GB file, and we're already writing a new duplicate file. So we'll just hang out. Actually, I'll pause the video and come back once it's done zipping the portions of the media container back up into a new container file. And it just finished. 0 errors. So now we have the new folder or the new file. Let's open that back up with MKVtoolnix. And we'll see that the English is the default track and the Italian is not. So let's do one more example. This is another case that people may run into. Let's open that with MKVtoolnix. This movie has a commentary track, and you definitely want to make sure the plain track is marked as default and not the commentary. Plex has no way to tell the difference between any English audio tracks besides based on how they're encoded. So no matter how you label this extra info will never show up in Plex. Now, I could care less about a commentary track, so I would just uncheck it to remove it and go about my business, save this as a new file. But some people do like this. So what I would suggest is, if you really want a movie with a commentary track, run MKVtoolnix twice. Remove it, and then the results can be your default file. Then run it again, leaving the commentary track, and as long as it shows up as English here, and this is the way it's displayed there, you're fine. So save that. The results can be like this. Here's an example of me doing the same thing to my rip of A Christmas Story. So from the original rip, I removed the commentary track, and that's this file. And then I saved it a second time with only the commentary track, and because I'm a Plex Pass owner, I can use the edition tag, and I mark that as the commentary edition. Now, I've only done that as an example to show someone else how to use this trick. Again, I don't really care about commentary tracks for any movie, so I would just normally remove that. But that's a trick you can do, and you can't do this trick without using MKVtoolnix to get there. So MKVtoolnix is probably the second most used tool I use behind FileBot. And what I would do is, on your video, Morten, I would find the... Alright, so we have the two tracks in this movie. And again, the only way to know which is which is to actually view the video. But naturally, this English one is the default English track, and this is the commentary track. So I guess I did not remove the commentary track from the original file. I simply removed it from the copy, which I then labeled as the commentary one. But you definitely want to make sure the language is set correctly. Some programs can set it incorrectly, and you can get it back to a standard here. Okay, so this video is long enough. I hope this was helpful, and happy Plexing.